Joining me now is J.J. Carroll. He's one of our own broadcasters, heard each night, prime time, right here, 5 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard, Monday through Friday. Well, there is a big story out today, and that is the president of the Philippines, the former president, I should say, the former president of the Philippines has been arrested and taken to The Hague. And I want to get the correct pronunciation of his name. Rodrigo Duterte. I guess that's about as good as I can do. I went to a couple websites. There's an American pronunciation, a Spanish pronunciation. Rodrigo Duterte. That's the best I can do. I got a D in high school Spanish. I'm American, people. I speak English. Thank you very much. No need to press 1 or 2. Joining me now. Well, by the way, why is this a big deal? Because the International Criminal Court is, well, it seems as though they like to arrest people that don't fit into political correctness. You know, they have come against Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, Donald Trump. Donald Trump actually put out a statement with the White House shortly after he got back into office talking about the International Criminal Court and his thoughts on it. And in fact, I think I have that statement somewhere here. Here we go. Imposing sanctions on the International Criminal Court. February 6, 2025. We'll get into that in a minute. What is it with the former president of the Philippines? Apparently, he was known for being really tough on illegal drugs and sex trafficking. Now, if there's more to the story, I'm not finding it because I've spent quite a bit of time today researching this guy and even going through and studying what his campaign promises were, what it is he said he was going to do, and how it was he got elected. And apparently he's being charged with crimes against humanity. Why? For being too tough on drug dealers and sex traffickers? You mean actually maybe, I don't know, eliminating them? Using the government to end their life? Which I think is one of the things the government can do. Romans 13 says, if you want to do what's right, if you don't want to fear the government, do what's right. And you should have no fear. But if you do what's wrong, you better be afraid because the government has the sword to put you to death. Well, you know what? If you're killing people with your drugs, you deserve the death penalty. Now, again, if there's more to this story, I'm going to try to find it. But right now, what I'm finding is this guy was absolutely after the drug dealers and the sex traffickers. Here he said, if you want to become rich after I'm elected president, you should go into the funeral business. Because I guess he was going to take a lot of people down. Apparently, he said, I will kill these drug lords to save the future of your children and the future of this country. Just give me 6 months. That is what I promise you. Let's see what else. I think I have a few other quotes here by him. It is good if we could kill another 32 each day. Maybe we could cure what ails this country. All right, joining me now is J.J. Carroll. J.J., the International Criminal Court. I have to wonder if this isn't, again, a message to Putin, a message to Benjamin Netanyahu, a message to Donald Trump. I don't trust the International Criminal Court. Clearly, President Trump doesn't either. But I don't know. If there's something evil about the former president of the Philippines, I'm trying to find it. Right now, what I'm finding is he had no tolerance for drug dealers and their drugs that enslave and kill children or adults or sex trafficking, and he had no problem killing these people. What are you hearing?
Well, I remember reading this yesterday that there's a criminal warrant out for him, and I was passing through that article, and I was like, isn't this the same guy that was going after the drug dealers and killing them and child sex traffickers? So I started reading the article thinking, well, maybe this guy was typical in third world, was actually a drug dealer, actually a sexual predator. Nope. They just said they had crimes against humanity. And I thought, well, isn't that interesting? And I believe it's interesting because everything in the globe is connected. There's nothing happening in a vacuum. Everything is tied to each other. All the Jeffrey Epstein, all the P. Diddy, all the child sex trafficking in Ukraine, everything is tied to each other. So how does this guy get arrested for what? I still haven't heard what the crimes against humanity were, unless killing drug dealers is a crime against humanity.
Well, that appears to be the situation, is that they didn't like how tough he was. Apparently, he was a pretty tough character on the drug trade and the drug traffickers. And again, I'm like you. I've done some research, and I'm like, where are the crimes against humanity? So again, I don't know. I'll tell you what President Trump had to say about these guys. I'll get to that. Go back to that page where the White House put something out. Here we go. By the authority vested in me, this is from February 6th, as president, by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, including the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, and he goes on to list more. I, Donald Trump, President of the United States of America, find that the International Criminal Court, as established by the Rome Statute, has engaged in illegitimate and baseless actions targeting America and our close ally, Israel. The ICC has, without legitimate basis, asserted jurisdiction over and opened preliminary investigations concerning personnel of the United States and certain of its allies, including Israel, and has further abused its power by issuing baseless arrest warrants targeting Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and the former Minister of Defense, Gallant. And he goes on from there. The United States will impose tangible and significant consequences on those responsible for the ICC's transgressions, some of which may include the blocking of property and assets, as well as the suspension of entry into the United States of ICC officials, employees, and agents, etc. So, obviously, President Trump has a real problem with this organization. I think I remember him at the UN during his first term giving a speech saying, basically, go pound sand, guys. You have no authority over us. JJ?
Yeah, but think about this, that we had this before, meaning our own government was subservient to the ICC. We gave them power. Why would we, as Americans, give anybody except the American government power over us? It makes no sense. But when you begin to connect the dots, global reset, the global migration, the illegal alien global migration, the destruction of the Western civilization, what's the best way to do that? Is through drugs, sexual perversion. We're finding out the CIA using USAID was one of their main component to create that civil unrest was to inject transgender gender ideology into nations that were like, what is this? And now it's there, and now we have societal chaos. Cultural norms are falling apart. And then you look at that and you go, oh my gosh, our CIA through USAID was doing that. Well, my gosh, that's what they're doing to us. That's the chaos we live in now. So I don't find anything that you uncover, Brandon, that's happening in a global setting to poo-poo that away and say, well, that doesn't have anything to do with us. Everything has to do with everything. And it's a great awakening now in America where we're finding out, hey, the enemy of the United States of America is the United States of American government.
Here's an article by AGM. The youngest survivor we've ever met is now safe from cyber sex trafficking. In a heartbreaking rescue operation that led IJM to the youngest victim we've ever encountered, 4 girls and 1 boy were rescued from cyber sex trafficking yesterday in the Philippines. The 5 victims, the youngest, a baby less than a year old, are now safe at shelters and will receive ongoing care from government and IJM social workers. Okay, again, if someone can show me what this guy did, but right now everything I find is they had a massive problem of drugs and sex trafficking in the Philippines, and he basically campaigned, promised his people that he would put an end to this. Here's an article from 2020. Philippine president and politicians push for return of death penalty amid war on drugs. Okay? This president, he had renewed his push for the reintroduction of capital punishment, calling in his State of the Nation address in late July for the death penalty to be reestablished as a punishment for drug trafficking. They come as the Philippines Congress considers a range of bills seeking the reestablishment of capital punishment, which was last abolished in 2006. Do you think this again is intimidation of other leaders in the world? Is that what this is?
You would think so, right? So you have one man right now, Donald Trump, completely destroying the global power structure. They can go and they can arrest a former president of a nation. What do you think they're going to do to our president? Do you think they're going to arrest him? They can't. The only thing left for the crazy left and the global power structure is to kill them.
Let me come back to that for a second. Put a thumbtack in that one. One of these articles says that in February 2018, the ICC finally launched a preliminary investigation into alleged crimes against humanity, in Duterte's drug war. On Duterte's orders, the Philippines withdrew from the Rome Statute, the ICC's founding treaty. Duterte, the ICC, accused them of crusading against him and condemned the United Nations, quote, baseless, unprecedented, and outrageous attacks, end quote, on him and his administration. Now listen to this. The country's withdrawal from the ICC took effect the following year, 2019. The ICC, however, retained jurisdictions of alleged crimes committed when the country was a member. So this guy pulls them out, says, I'm president. I'm not going to put up with your baseless claims like Donald Trump has done. And now they've gone back, now that he's not president, and arrested him and said, we're going to go back and we're going to grab jurisdiction over the crimes you committed supposedly when you were a member. The concern is this going to be what they do to Donald Trump? You know, basically these guys are making up the rules as they go, JJ.
Well, they've been making up the rules as they go here in the United States of America, where they're going to retroactive create a law and then go back X amount of years for sex crimes on some crazy lunatic that said that Donald Trump raped her in a changing room. I mean, so my point is, you think that this is crazy and it could never get to America. It's already here in America. And then other world leaders need to be, that are on the fringes or on the outside of the United Nations or the ICC and all of that are trying to regain their sovereignty. They need to look at this and go, oh, the Philippines aren't a powerful nation. They can come do this to a former leader. They can come do that to me. I mean, look what we did to Saddam Hussein. Was he a savage? Yeah. We went in there and we killed him for weapons of mass destruction, and there were no weapons of mass destruction. We live in an alternative Twilight Zone universe right now, and everything is coming out in real time, and I believe there's a giant, massive cover-up of the global elites trying to just cover it up. And it sounds crazy, right, Brad? We sound like 10 years ago, people would click us off because we sound like Alex Jones. But lo and behold, Alex Jones has been right the whole time. So we just live in a crazy time in the world history, I believe.
Well, we do. And look at what's happening in Syria. When these, I think our CIA under Biden went in there and got rid of him and let this HTS take over, which is basically ISIS, Solani's group, we said this is not going to go well for Christians. Well, now we see a lot of Christians being slaughtered on video. The Alawite Muslims, which are really not Muslims, according to our Islamic expert Shahram Hadian, says they're not really Muslims. They don't want to follow large aspects of what the Prophet did. Certainly jihad's one of them. So they're basically seen as hypocrites under Islamic law and worthy of being killed along with the infidels, the Christians. Well, we knew that was coming. Who was behind that? It looks like our own government under Biden helped to do that and bring this group into power. That's what many believe. So not a good guy, Assad. I'm not here to defend him, but look how we just destabilized that region even more. Now Israel's making airstrikes into Syria to try to protect those Christians and the Alawite Muslims that are begging Israel for help. You gave Saddam Hussein as an example. I mean, I'm not a huge fan, but look how that destabilized the region. And we can do that also with Gaddafi and go on down the line. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. Again, I'm not saying this guy was some guy that was as pure as the wind-driven snow, but he was thumbing his nose at the International Criminal Court like Donald Trump has done and saying, look, I'm cleaning up my country. I don't care if you agree with how I do it or not, and I'm not recognizing you. And, of course, my concern is that this is a bunch of globalists trying to get control of leaders that don't want to heel to the globalist agenda. And when we look at these judges, okay, let me show this. We went to the International Criminal Court to look at the judges. And real quick, we just click on their names. Here's one from Japan. Here's one from Italy. I mean, they're from all over the world, right? So do you want these? Here's one from an African state, one of the African states. Here's another one. She is from Peru. Let's just do a few more. Here's one from Uganda. Okay. Here's one from Canada. Oh yeah, Canada. That's just so wonderful, free country up there now, right? Here's one from the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. And we just keep going down the list. And here's one from Georgia, the former, part of the Soviet Union, the Eastern Europe. Here's one from Mexico. So, and you just go on down the list. Are these the judges we want sitting in judgment of the United States of America, JJ?
No, we don't want. We're sovereign nation. We're not a European Union. We're not part of anything, and that's what Donald Trump is doing. He's unshackling us from these globalist organizations. Why do we're self-sufficient? I know isolationism is a dirty word, but what's wrong with that? What's wrong with just focusing on America? Can we do that just for 90 days? Can we try it out? Like a 6-month, 90 days, let your money back guarantee. Why don't we try that? Why don't we try to get out of all the nations that hate us, and they have good reason to hate us because we've destroyed their nations? Why don't we get out that? Why don't we just pump in money to America and take care of Americans? What a novel idea. But we can't because we need chaos across the globe because there's NGOs involved, and that's how our politicians launder the money through the NGOs and become filthy rich and have immense power. The United States of America, look, you just went through 4 or 5 Middle Eastern countries that are destabilized, absolute chaos, living in absolute squalor. Why? Because we did it. We did it to them.
Well, here's Romania. One of the judges from Romania. I don't know anything about her personally, but Romania just canceled elections because the guy rising in power in the polls was a kind of a Donald Trump kind of character, a nationalist for Romania. They just canceled his election. Then they put the elections back on, and then they arrested him a few weeks ago for a few hours before letting him go. Do we really need a judge from Romania sitting in judgment of America, for Pete's sake?
No, we don't. And you know what? If you look at this from a different perspective, it almost makes you feel as if we're winning, right? Because now they're stretching. They're trying to maintain their power. I say like this: Donald Trump was on a hill, and there's a giant boulder, and he just pushed it, and it's rolling downhill. There's no stopping it. There's no stopping it. It's just a matter of how far down the valley does this boulder go. How far is that valley? Is it just a couple feet? Is it several miles? Is it 100 miles? I don't know. No one knows. But it's in motion. It's destroying the global power structure. How deep does it go? I don't know. But the left, the crazy left, across the globe, they feel it. They know it. Everyone in our nation for sure can feel changes happening. How deep does that change go? That's up for debate. But there's no debating that the power structure in America, and America sets the tone for the world. It's changing, Brandon. We can all feel it.
Yep. And speaking of the crazy left around the globe, I went to the BBC article. Here's one from February 7th, 2025. Dozens of countries back International Criminal Court after Trump sanctions. I wonder what countries. Oh, the UK, Germany, France. Not that there aren't some wonderful people that live in the UK and Germany and France and probably listen to us, but we all know that their leaders are crazy. This is who the vice president, J.D. Vance, lectured in Germany at the Munich conference, security conference. You guys, what is wrong with you? You're arresting people for praying in front of abortion clinics. You arrest people for putting very common sense and benign statements on social media that you deem, a problem. You are not for freedom of speech. You're not for freedom of religion. Why would we dump money into NATO to defend countries like yours when you're not really free countries anymore? You don't stand for what we stand for in America, and certainly not the MAGA crowd or the constitutional crowd, the patriot crowd. So when you have Donald Trump saying, look, I'm not putting up with the International Criminal Court and its behavior, and I'm going to put sanctions against some of your members, and then all of a sudden the ones that come standing up with him are the tyrannical governments of the UK, Germany, and France. Enough said. Birds of a feather flock together. I think we now see the ICC is nothing more than a judicial puppet of the politically correct cultural Marxist, and they're going to use it to intimidate world leaders, even after they've gotten out of office. And see, my concern is if they can do to this, the former president of the Philippines, what are they going to do once Benjamin Netanyahu's out of office? What are they going to do when President Trump is out of office? Are they trying to intimidate these kind of leaders now? By the way, JJ, at what point do they not put some kind of indictment against you or me or any of the other conservative broadcasters as a threat against humanity for the things we're saying? How do we know they don't try to drag us to The Hague one day?
Well, there is nothing, and someone told me today that I was on an interview with, we dodged a nuclear missile by Kamala Harris not being president. Because, Brandon, you, me, and everyone else talking today on podcasts and social media on a conservative bet, we would have been off. We would have been begging them to just let us get off the air, because they would have opened the jails and we either got thrown in with some crazy conspiratorial law that they came up with. We dodged a bullet in America, but the clock is ticking. What are we going to do? What laws is our Congress going to solidify the executive orders and things that need to be done? I don't know. I don't trust Speaker Johnson. I don't trust that our government will protect us from international organizations. I mean, if Kamala Harris was in, do you think that we'd be outside the ICC, or do you think we'd be neck deep in it?
Oh, neck deep in it. Neck deep in it. So let me go to your concerns about Donald Trump, the safety for Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, others. Now we're seeing, and again, it could be totally that the InfoWars, Mr. White, who worked at InfoWars, apparently was on the list for his opposition to Ukraine's leader, Zelensky. It could be that was indeed a random burglary that he, stopped in progress, someone breaking into his car, and he gets killed. But Alex Jones seems to think that, and he's been told by others that even his own life is at risk. So are we going to now see broadcasters being threatened or intimidated or eliminated in this quest to tap down and intimidate global leaders and broadcasters? Is that what's coming, or is that what's here?
I think that's here. I think that, look, think about what transpired these last 4 years, and now we're uncovering that USAID was paying Reuters $30-40 million the last 2 years. $30-40 million. Politico, $8 million. Politico couldn't make their payroll. 6,000 journalists were on payroll. 700 news stations were on the payroll of the federal government. This is not conspiratorial, crazy talk anymore. This is real life. We are exposing the corruption of our federal government in things that we would have thought the Russians were doing in the 60s and 70s. We're doing it. We experienced it. We are experiencing Pravda. We're experiencing complete oppression and suppression from our own government. And don't think for a second, Brandon, that just because Trump is in office and Pam Bondi and everyone else, that's meaningless. Meaning there's thousands of deep staters inside the administrative state, and they are the ones pulling the. Look at today. What did Trump can't fire somebody? The federal judge says, well, how did the executive branch fall under the judges in Timbuktu, Kentucky? How'd that happen?
Yep.
We are upside down. We no longer live in the republic our founding fathers created. We live in something completely different and upside down. I believe that. U.S.
federal judge says Trump cannot fire a Democratic member. Now I got an ad that popped up, whatever that, let me just hit refresh. Cannot fire Democratic member of federal labor board. Again, and you got these judges making rulings on what he can and cannot do with immigration. You're right. The deep state is loaded to the bear, including they are sitting on some of these benches. And now, haven't we found judges that are tied back to NGOs that got lots and lots of money?
Yes. And what I'm the thing that I'm discovering, I want to do more research on, but I can't find it. And the reason why I can't find it, Brandon, is because I'm trying to find out how many senators and congressmen have dual citizenship, dual allegiance. Do you know every time they come up with that, and judges, I can't figure out who the judges, a lot of them are naturalized citizens. Well, did you renounce your citizenship from your home country? And a lot of them have not. Look at what's happening, and you think, well, that's crazy. Really? Have you listened to AOC? Have you listened to Ilhan Omar say, well, yeah, everything that we do has to be done for the betterment of Somalia? Hold on a second. What are you talking about? And these judges, if an ICC came out, why wouldn't a judge say, oh no, you have to answer to that? Yep, we're gonna honor that here in America, and you're gonna have to go under international rule. And all they have to do is do it to a couple people. That's it. And everyone's scared to death.
Absolutely. J.J. Carroll on the road tonight, traveling. You can listen to him every day at Worldview Tube, 5 Central, 6 Eastern, Monday through Friday. His website, thisistreason.com. Thisistreason.com. And you can also find him on X. What's your handle on X, J.J.?
J.J. Carroll 14. J.J. Carroll 14, or just go to jjcarroll.com and have all my links right there, and purchase my new book, Treason, bestseller on Amazon.
Treason, bestseller on Amazon by J.J. Carroll. Find it, Treason, at Amazon by J.J. Carroll. Travel safe. Thanks for being with us tonight, J.J.
Thank you. Have a great night.
All right, folks. Go to worldviewtube.com/events, worldviewtube.com/events. Our free Worldview Radio Understanding the Times rally is coming up Tuesday night, April 15th. We have not done a Worldview rally in 7 years. I've been here in the studio, keeping my head down, doing broadcasting. I kind of did that, since February of 1993. Got a little tired, a little burnt out. But we're going back on the road. And everybody's pretty excited about it. It's Tuesday night, April 15th at the Waukesha Expo Center. Ronald Reagan rented it, carried out a rally there. Donald Trump's rented it at least twice. We've rented it many times since the early 2000s, 1999 through the early 2000s. Spoke at a VCY America rally there in, I think, 1995, 96, 95, 96, 96, somewhere in there. I think it was 95. So there you go. We're going to rent it again. And it's free, absolutely free. Now, we're going to take an offering to offset our cost, brought to you by our foundation. But if you'd like to attend, it's free, but you do need to get a ticket so we have enough seats put out, and you need to register everyone you're bringing individually. Okay, you can use the same email address over and over, but you got to register everyone. Okay, there you do it. Worldviewtube.com/events. I guess we now have like 900 people registered. So good, let's fill it up. In fact, why don't you take a picture of that right now, folks? Take a picture of that screen. Make sure you get the URL in there, worldviewtube.com/events. Send it out to your family and friends. Say, hey, let's go to this. Or, hey, I don't live in your area, but look what's coming close to you or right in your town or a couple hours away. You should go. Now, it's free, but you got to register so you have a seat, and we will take an offering. So bring your checkbook. What do you got to do? We're going to take an offering to offset the building. The two chairs cost us $2 a piece. So you put out, 1,500 chairs times 2. There you go. $3,000, right? And then we got to rent the building. So I think the whole thing's going to cost us $4,000 or $5,000 in building rent. Not to mention you got to fly the speakers in, hotel, give them an honorarium. So again, it's a free event, but it's brought to you by our foundation. We'll take an offering. Now, if you are a Vault member, you'll be able to live stream it. If you're a Vault member, you'll be able to live stream it. So join worldviewtube.com/vault. It's another way you can support us. And we do special events for Vault members as our way of saying thank you for joining. worldviewtube.com/vault. worldviewtube.com/vault. And you'll also be able to live stream our fall conference coming up in October with a ton of other speakers as well. So a lot of things coming up you're going to be able to live stream, including some things we'll announce soon. Some other big things coming up in May that you'll be able to live stream as well. Okay? worldviewtube.com/vault. Appreciate your joining.